There are so many amazing scrappy quilt patterns out there, and today I'm going to show you one of my very favorite ones. It's simple and sweet and easy to do. We're going to use a background fabric of my choice. It has green and blue on it, and then I'm just going to choose green and blue fabrics, 2-inch squares or 2-inch strips, whatever I have, whatever you have. Here I'm showing you can make this pattern with 2.5-inch squares if you have them already cut, and I am going to make 2 quilts to show in this video, but we're going to practice on the smaller one. The 2.5-inch squares, I'm going to choose red, orange, and a little yellow, flaming colors. And here I'm showing you it would be a really good patriotic pattern also. So whatever colors you want to work in, we're going to work in this beautiful green and blue. I sew them into twosies, and I really do have a basket that I sit next to me on the sewing machine. I just grab 2 pieces of fabric and I put 2 face to face, and I sew a very exacting 1/4-inch seam. So having a good 1/4-inch seam matters with this, and I have another video on that if you want to watch it for help. Otherwise, get a green and a blue, or a blue and a blue, or 2 greens. It doesn't matter. We're going to mix and match and just have these colors flowing through the quilt, and we sew twosies, and we do as many as we need for the quilt. In this demo, I only do a few at a time, but when I'm sewing this quilt in real life, I figure out how many twosies I need of what colors, and I just sew them and sew them and sew them till I have them all done, and I press them with the seam to one side so that they lay flat. It just helps to have them pressed flat at one point. So I put them together, I decide who I want to be a 4-patch with, and I take these twosies and sew them into 4 patches. It is so fun as you put these 4 patches together. You make sure that the seams are going opposite ways and that you just budge that seam close and tight so that it meets beautifully, and you sew another 1/4-inch seam across it to make your 4-patch. The fun thing about this is as you sew these colors together, no matter what colors you've chosen, you can start feeling how the quilt is going to feel and watch it grow. I love this part of doing this. It also is really good to help you get nice 1/4-inch seams and nice beautiful little 4 patches. Usually I do this part before I start making the quilt, but for demo purposes I didn't want to confuse you, so I'm showing you now. Right now I'm cutting 2-inch squares that are the background pieces that will be part of some of the 4 patches that we're going to make. As you do this part, you simply match a background piece to any of the color scraps that you're working with, and you set it right on top and you sew those together, making twosies. Once you have all your twosies with the background pieces sewn together, you match them up with the other twosies that have just the scraps, and you make a 4-patch with 1 background piece in each 4-patch. And you do this so that you have enough for the amount of blocks you want to make for your quilt. Making this quilt requires 2 distinctly different 4 patches. So I'm showing you that Scrappy plus Scrappy with a background equals a 4-patch that has a background square in it. And now Scrappy plus Scrappy equals Scrappy 4, and this is the other 4-patch where there is no background fabric in the 4-patch. We want to make both of these blocks, the right correct amount of them of course, so that we can assemble the complete block. So here is a background piece, and it's 3.5 inches because when we sew our 4 patches properly, they equal exactly 3.5 inches. Now we get to lay out the block the way we want to assemble it. So it takes just what you see, 2 4 patches that have the background piece, a regular 4-patch, and then our background block that we cut out. And we sew these together. We sew the 4-patch to the 4-patch. This is why it's called a double 4-patch, because we made the little 4 patches and now we're making big 4 patches. And it's a variation to it. There's so many different blocks you can make. But now I sew these 2 halves together. Be sure to keep the placement of your background pieces in their proper place as you sew this together, or you'll be sad and you'll have to pick it out. And you can see that we're going to come out with a Scrappy block. And every single Scrappy block is going to look different. And here's a whole bunch of them so you can just see how great they are. It's so fun to make these, and I usually make them all at once. So I do every process to the next step to the next step until I'm ready to lay them out. So you lay it out one way, and I love the furlough rows. And this quilt block is so great because it lays out as if it were a log cabin. You can do so many different patterns with it, but you can mix it up and you can make blocks, or you can do other things. I'm going to play with these just for a minute so you can see many different ways. But if you want to know more ways to lay this out, just look online and it will show you many ways. We have this pattern for free for you until June 15th if you sign up to our newsletter on our website, and that link will be down below. If you'd rather just buy this pattern, then we have it available on our website for purchase, or I've shown you how to make it. Just do a little math, do the 4 patches, and you too can make a wonderful quilt pattern of any size you want. You can grow this big, you can have it become a king size. We have 2 patterns available on our pattern, one for the smaller quilt out of the 2-inch pieces, and then to the side is our bigger quilt we made with the 2.5-inch blocks that I showed you at the beginning. I love it. In real life, I think it might be my favorite. They're both beautiful. Who are we kidding? So you choose whatever colors you would like and make yourself a quilt. You can do it without a pattern. You can do it with a pattern, whatever makes you comfortable. Stay merry and creative.